Well, before I get started, if you guys are wondering why it's so loud, I have it turned on maximum. I'm benchmarking it to get a score on how fast the computer is. So it's using up all the processor, the GPU, the fans, everything's turned on maximum. So that is why it is as loud as it is. Alright everyone, so how much would this PC cost to buy brand new? Well, to buy everything exactly what I have done brand new, this PC would cost well over $2,000. So how much did I pay to build it myself? Well, I broke down the numbers for you because I like data, I like numbers. To me, that's a lot of fun. So we're going to go over a couple things here in a moment. Alright, so to buy this, you're looking at $2,000 minimum. It's actually over $2,000 because I've tried to look up PCs for sale, and all the PCs that are for sale, they have some parts that are better and then some parts are worse for around $1,800 to $2,000. So it's like if they would use well, some of the computers have a better GPU, but then the RAM's less, so they're kind of picking and choosing. If they would put this exact setup on the listing, it would be over $2,000. So, how much did it cost me to build myself? It cost me $1,555 to build this PC myself. Now, I do want to go over a couple things, and I'll go over some stuff. Right now, the cost for actually buying parts is really expensive. So manufacturers that sell pre-built computers can get a lot more discounts, so you're fighting that versus buying individual parts. Still, however, we saved at least $500 from buying this same computer new. But I got the tower free. The tower is the shell. The tower was a review that I did a couple years ago. These lights I got for free as well to do a review. So the lights were free. And my hard drive and Windows 10 I used for my past PC. So with that stuff being free, it cost me $1,555. If you would have to buy a new hard drive, Windows 10, the fans, the same fans, and the tower, you would probably spend about $1,900, $2,000 if you had to buy the entire setup yourself. So you'd be close to the $2,000 where to buy a pre-built PC is. Now, the only problem with a pre-built PC, they don't have any with this exact specs. So they either have a better GPU and less RAM, so this is your RAM cards, or they have 64 gigabytes of RAM as you see here and a worse GPU. The closest I can see with a computer that has similar setup to this is around $2,200 to $2,700. So even if you spend $1,900 to buy everything yourself, you're still cheaper than buying a pre-built. So let's go over the individual things. If you'd buy this tower, the tower is $120. Now, keep in mind, you guys can get a tower and other components cheaper, but still get the same performance. So you could find a tower for $60, and that would save you a lot of money. You could find fans that are cheaper, but still would do the same performance as well. The RAM cards, so the tower's $120, the fans are $100. The RAM cards cost me $400, so $400, pretty much $100 per RAM, and this is 64 gigabytes of RAM. And of course, I'm paying more for the light setup because I can customize it and everything. So you pay for looks as well. But if I just buy for the 64 gigabytes, I could have saved probably $150 if I wanted to. So you can get the same performance. You might just not have the style, and I could build this for probably $1,200 or less of cost to me if I didn't care about all the looks, but still have the same performance. The GPU was $530. This would be your GPU that you see right here. And Wi-Fi repeater for internet, $65. Thermal compound, which goes behind your CPU, or goes in front of your CPU, but behind your CPU fan that connects your fan, that's $10. The motherboard, which is all these components here that are on. So the motherboard is the backdrop. If you can see the red back there, this whole thing is the motherboard that's against. That's what all your components connect to. That was $140. The CPU, so this CPU is $310. Now this is what I paid, okay? You can get this stuff cheaper, used. Everything I bought was brand new. So you have to keep that in mind as well. If you want to get reused, you can save a lot of money there. I mean, if I bought everything used, didn't care about the lights in it, it would probably cost me $800 to build this PC and get the same performance if I didn't care about the lights and everything. Now the CPU is an Intel i7-9700. That came with the fan and the CPU in the back. The GPU, which we already went over, that's GTX 1660 Super. That's the 3-fan RGB version. You can get the cheaper version as well, same performance. To buy a hard drive, it's going to run you $100 to $150, and for Windows 10, it's going to run you $115 to $135. And that's pretty much it. Did we go to, the power supply was $100 for 700 watts. So $100 for that. But yeah, everything total cost me $1,550 to build this exact PC. Is at minimum $2,000, probably in between $2,000 and $2,500 for you to buy everything, or me buy everything, the tower and whatnot. Is around $1,900, $2,000. But again, when I say $2,000, that's like that's pushing it. I'll show you guys some examples. There you got it, $1,900. You go over here, that's $1,200. So we can't really compare because those aren't. When you compare these lower price ones like $1,200, that they don't even compare. You have to try and find. Here we go. This is a better one. This you get a liquid cool. The Intel i9 is still this cheaper one, but it's liquid cooled, which means it'll help keep the PC colder. 32 gigabytes of RAM, so it's already half of what we have. Same GPU, 100 watt PSU, which is 600 watt PSU, which is 100 watts less than what we have, and they want $2,000 for that. And if you want to upgrade to a little better GPU, you're paying now $2,300 for that, and you're still getting an i9 10000, which is better but not as good. You still don't get the RAM, so it's hard to price things out. When you price things out, yeah, I mean, yeah, you just get less. So basically, what it comes down to, we saved at least $500. And if you would have to buy everything yourself, you're still going to save $200 to $400. So pretty much a savings versus a pre-built. You're saving anywhere from $200 to $500 if you're going with the color and style. If you go with cheap parts like they're doing, like the companies that are building computers, they're going with the cheap parts. So if you go with the cheap parts like they are, you get the cheapest colored lights, you get the cheapest colored stuff. You can get these RGB lights, which are the multicolor lights, for a lot cheaper than the ones I've got. I just went for performance and also quality. But if you do what they do, you'll save yourself anywhere from $400 to $800 if you go with the cheap parts like they do. So they're having a very high markup. They're selling it for almost $1,800. They probably spent $900 on the actual build. So they're almost doubling their money. But here's the kicker. If you don't want to deal with building your own PC, then you just buy one pre-built. But if you actually know what you're doing and you want to save yourself a lot of money, building a PC like we did is key. Now this is the 4th PC I built. I bought a pre-built PC and it works great. I then upgraded it because it was, you know, not the greatest. It was $850 at the time. I probably put another $400 in. So yeah, you know, building a PCs are a lot better, but it is more stressful and you got to buy the parts. But if you want to go cheap and build it performance wise, you can do it. But if you want style, you want color, you want all the extras, yeah, you're gonna pay. You're gonna pay for it. But even with me buying the top tier of each things, the top GPU, power supply, RAM cards, the lights, and everything, even with buying the more expensive higher end, I still saved $500. Me personally, from building it, I saved $500. I could have saved at least $850 to $1,000 if I went for the cheap parts, but same performance. Keep in mind, when I say cheap parts, you still can get the same performance, it's just you wouldn't have the colors and it would just be a standard blah 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 PC. But if you like the colors and the enhancement at night, it's so cool, then you spend more money, but I still saved $500 even though I spent the top tier.